You know, there's a playbook. It's been run on this country since before it was even a country. A game so old, so damn effective, most of us don't even see the plays anymore. We just live inside the results. So today we pulled a curtain all the way back. Now let's get one thing straight right from the jump. America didn't invent division. No, it perfected it, turned it from just a tactic into an art form, an entire industry. It's the operating system for power in this country. And once you see the code, you can't ever unsee it. To really understand the game being played on us today, you got to go back to the beginning. Now, I'm not talking about 1776. No, we have to go all the way back to 1676, to the moment the people in power saw something that made their blood run cold, something they decided could never, ever happen again. See, back in colonial Virginia, you had enslaved Africans and poor white indentured servants, both at the bottom, both getting crushed by the same rich planter class. And for one hot minute, they looked up and realized who their real enemy was, and they united, black folks and white folks side by side, and they burned the capital of Jamestown to the ground. Man, the elite panicked. They saw the one thing that has always terrified the powerful: solidarity. They saw that if the folks at the bottom ever link up, the whole pyramid comes tumbling down. So they knew they needed a weapon, a new one, a permanent one, something so powerful it could convince people who were getting robbed to help the robber guard the loot. A weapon designed to break that solidarity forever. And that weapon was the invention of whiteness. Now, listen, this wasn't about where your grandma was from. It wasn't about culture. It was a strategy, a political status literally created out of thin air. They passed new laws that created a whole new category of person, the white person, and they gave that person legal privileges over any person of African descent. Didn't matter how poor you were, as long as you were white. They gave them what the great W.E.B. Du Bois would later call a psychological wage. You might not have a damn thing to your name, no land, no money, but you had your skin. They outlawed interracial marriage. They enlisted poor white men into slave patrols. It was a genius plan, and it was evil because it gave the lowest man on the totem pole someone to look down on. It took all his anger about his empty pockets and aimed it right at the enslaved black person in the field next to him, instead of at the rich man in the big house who owned them both. And that blueprint, that core strategy of getting one group of poor folks just enough status to keep them fighting with another group of poor folks, that never went away. Oh no, it just got better. It got polished. It got updated for every new century. And look, you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to President Lyndon B. Johnson break the whole damn thing down. That's the entire game in one sentence. It's Bacon's rebellion with a suit and tie. Keep people focused on the fiction of race, and you can get away with economic murder. It is the cheapest, most effective political trick ever invented. And as the times changed, the language had to change with it. This is GOP strategist Lee Atwater in 1981, basically giving away the secret memo. You can't use the hard R anymore, it's not polite. So you switch to code. You start talking about forced busing, states' rights, welfare queens. It's all abstract now, but it signals the exact same thing. Here's a group of people for you to fear. Here's someone to look down on. Same playbook, different vocabulary. But every now and then, someone comes along who sees the game, someone who decides to just break the spell, someone who understands that the only real antidote to all this division is a radical dose of solidarity. And in 1969 Chicago, that man was a 21-year-old visionary named Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton did what they thought was impossible. As chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party, he built what he called the Rainbow Coalition. He brought the Black Panthers, the Puerto Rican Young Lords, and even a group called the Young Patriots, poor white kids from Appalachia, some of whom literally had Confederate flags on their jackets. He brought them all into the same room, and he showed them that their enemy wasn't each other. Their enemy was poverty. Their enemy was police brutality. Their enemy was a system that kept all of them hungry and fighting over scraps. Now, you have to understand this. The state wasn't afraid of the Panthers' guns. They were afraid of their free breakfast programs. They weren't afraid of their rhetoric. They were afraid of their unity. Because a poor white kid from the hills of Kentucky and a black kid from the west side of Chicago realizing they have the same enemy, that is the system's greatest nightmare. And so the system responded. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, labeled Fred Hampton a major threat. They put an informant in his inner circle. And in the early morning of December 4th, 1969, the Chicago police, working with the FBI, raided his apartment and assassinated him in his sleep. He was 21 years old. His crime wasn't breaking the law, his crime was breaking the spell. They killed the man, but they could never kill that idea. And believe me, the powers that be know that, which is exactly why that old divide and conquer playbook is running on overdrive today. They just swap out the targets to fit the times. It's the fate panic over critical race theory. It's banning books by Black and LGBTQ authors. It's blaming immigrants for jobs that a corporation shipped overseas 30 years ago. It's whipping up fear about trans kids to distract you from the fact that your rent just went up 20%. It's the same damn game, pitting neighbor against neighbor, parent against teacher, citizen against immigrant. The misdirection is the whole point. They create these fake emergencies about drag queens or history books, things that pose zero threat to your actual life. Why? To keep you from focusing on what's actually crushing you: stagnant wages, crippling medical debt, a system built to funnel every dollar to the very top. See, you keep the people on the ground fighting over crumbs, and they'll never look up and see who owns the entire bakery. So here's the bottom line: if division is their weapon, solidarity has to be ours. It's about recognizing the con game for what it is. It's about finally seeing where the real fight is. You just got to ask yourself one simple question, always: who profits from this? Who gets rich when we're at each other's throats? Look at the board. On one side, you've got the enemies they handpick for you: your neighbor, a school teacher, some kid just trying to live. But on the other side, that's who's actually picking your pocket while you're busy fighting. The billionaires paying zero in taxes, the lobbyists writing the laws, the union busting CEOs, the politicians who serve them. They create a boogeyman over here so you never see the thief over there. So at the end of the day, we know the history. We know the playbook. Bacon's rebellion was the warning shot. Fred Hampton gave us the blueprint for how to fight back. So the real question, it isn't about them anymore. It's about us. The question is no longer how this all started. The real question is, why are we still falling for it? Stay focused. Stay fire. If you want the full report, all the sources, the timelines, the real receipts on everything we talked about, go to reflectivembs.com. Read it, share it, and stop letting them play you.